One of the types of discrete random variables is binomial random variables. To understand what this variable is, we need to be familiar with its characteristics. First of all, the experiment consists of n identical trials. So each time the same thing is done. So some card is drawn or a die is tossed. There are only two possible outcomes on each trial, either success or failure. And the probability of success remains the same from trial to trial. So the probability is denoted by P, and the probability of failure will be denoted by Q, which is just 1 minus P. The trials are also independent, so they do not depend on each other. And the binomial random variable is the number of successes in n trials. So we will be calculating the probability that the number of successes is equal to some value x. To do that, we will use this formula. So P is the probability of success on a single trial. So we've got the binomial coefficient, where n is number of trials, the number of times the experiment is undertaken. So for example, the number of times a die is tossed, or a coin is tossed, or a card is drawn. X is the number of successes in n trials. So for example, how many, 3 hats out of 10 trials. P is the probability of success in a single trial. So if we're tossing a coin, the probability of having a hat, so the probability of this success will be 1/2 taken to the power of x, so the number of successes we're interested in. Then we multiply by Q, which is just 1 minus P, taken to the power of n minus x, so the number of failures in n trials. And let's have a look at the example. So some hard association claims that only 10% of US adults over 30 years of age meet the minimum requirements established by the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. Suppose 4 adults are randomly selected and each given the fitness test. Find the probability that 3 of the 4 adults pass the test. So first of all, we need to define the success of this experiment, and we can find the information about success in the question, in the last question, the probability that 3 of the 4 adults pass the test. So the success in this case is a person passes the test. We know that the person will pass the test if this person is healthy, and the probability that this person is healthy, we know is 10%, because only 10% of US adults meet the minimum requirements. So the probability is 0.1. We can immediately calculate the probability of Q, which will be 1 minus 0.1, so 0.9. So the probability of failure, so the probability that a person will not pass the test. And the number of trials, so we know that 4 people are selected, so this is the sample. And the number of successes, so the number of healthy people that we would like to have out of these 4 people is 3, so x is equal to 3. When we put everything into the formula, we get that the probability that 3 of the 4 adults pass the test is only 0.36%. So binomial random variable has its own formula for the mean value. As you can see, mu is calculated just by multiplying n, the number of trials, by the probability of success. We can also estimate the variance, which will be the number of trials multiplied by the probability of success and multiplied by the probability of failure. And standard deviation, as always, is calculated as the square root out of the variance, so the square root out of NPQ.